Welcome, everyone, to another journey into the unknown on The Deep Dive. It's genuinely wonderful to have you back with us.
Great to be here.
We have to start by extending our sincere gratitude to all of you who have recently joined our community by subscribing and hitting that like button. Your support truly fuels these explorations, and we appreciate every single one of you.
Absolutely. It makes a huge difference.
And speaking of connection, we've noticed the comments section has been a little quiet lately. Don't hold back. That space is vital for us. It's where the conversation truly extends beyond this recording, where you can share your incredible insights, and critically, where you help us uncover new mysteries for future deep dives.
Yeah, we really feed off that. Your ideas often spark the next topic.
We thrive on your suggestions and the vibrant discussions you bring. Before we plunge into today's extraordinary topic, we have a little community challenge for you.
Oh, what's the challenge?
We are tantalizingly close to hitting 100 subscribers today, like really close.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So, if you're listening and you haven't yet joined our growing family, or if you know someone who would love to explore these hidden histories with us, please help us push past that milestone. It would be an amazing way to mark this deep dive and help our community grow even stronger.
Come on, folks, let's get us over the line. It would be great.
Because believe me, today we've prepared something truly special for you. We're embarking on an ambitious quest into the legendary realm of Atlantis.
Atlantis, the big one.
Oh, yeah. Our team has gathered an astonishing array of sources we've truly explored almost everywhere imaginable to compile the most comprehensive and fascinating material for this deep dive.
We really did leave no stone unturned, did we?
Pretty much. If by some chance we've overlooked a crucial piece of the puzzle, or if you hold a burning theory of your own, please let us know in the comments where we should explore further.
Seriously, tell us where to dig around more. We love that.
We live for that kind of collaborative investigation.
And when we say everywhere, we mean it. This isn't just a superficial glance. Our core mission today, for you, our dedicated listener, is to take this huge stack of incredible sources. We're talking ancient philosophical texts, modern visionary insights, even cutting-edge archaeological theories.
A real mix.
And extract the most profound and illuminating nuggets of knowledge and insight about this legendary civilization. Consider this your definitive shortcut to being genuinely well-informed about Atlantis.
A shortcut through millennia of mystery.
Exactly. We promise not only surprising facts, but also some truly mind-bending concepts, and just enough intriguing speculation to keep you utterly captivated.
I'm already hooked.
This deep dive is truly a fascinating blend of documented history, enduring myth, and the most compelling, thought-provoking speculation out there.
So let's kick things off at the undeniable starting point. For most of us, when the name Atlantis is even whispered, one name immediately loops to mind. Plato.
Exactly. His ancient accounts form the very bedrock upon which this entire enduring legend rests. That's right, Plato, the classical Greek philosopher, is undeniably the primary popularizer of the Atlantis legend. He laid out what amounts to a detailed blueprint for this lost city in two of his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias.
Those two are key.
It's from these texts that almost all of our popular understanding and imagery of Atlantis originates.
And what a blueprint it is. Plato's description positions Atlantis as an island situated beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which we commonly identify today as the Strait of Gibraltar.
Right, out in the Atlantic.
But this wasn't just a modest island nation. He claimed it was an expanse larger than Libya and Asia combined. Imagine the sheer scale.
It's enormous. Hard to even picture.
Right. This immediately sets the stage for an immense, formidable empire, a powerful confederation of kings that not only governed the island itself, but also extended its dominion over numerous other islands and even parts of the known continent. It paints a vivid picture of a truly colossal and influential power. And the capital city itself, the heart of this empire, sounds like an astonishing feat of engineering and urban planning. Plato goes into remarkable detail about its meticulous circular layout.
Like a bullseye.
Exactly, almost like a precise series of rings or a bullseye.
Precisely. At the very center, elevated on a hill, was a central island dedicated to the god Poseidon and his mortal wife Plato. This sacred heart was approximately 900 meters in diameter, nearly a kilometer across.
Almost a kilometer, just for the central island.
Yeah. Surrounding it were concentric rings, 2 alternating zones of land and 3 zones of water, For instance, the land and sea zones immediately bordering the central island were quite substantial, around 540 meters and 360 meters wide, respectively, with the innermost sea zone being about 180 meters wide.
And these weren't merely decorative concentric circles, were they? Our sources indicate they served very specific practical purposes.
Oh, absolutely, not just for show.
They were reportedly used for everything from military exercises to cultivating beautiful gardens and serving as extensive training grounds for both people and horses.
Horse training grounds, military drills.
This suggests a civilization deeply invested in defense, leisure, and perhaps even equestrian culture. What's interesting is that these areas weren't depicted as densely populated by ordinary citizens.
Right, more for the elite.
Yeah, implying they were primarily for royal or elite activities.
That's a key observation. The infrastructure supporting this city was equally impressive. A massive 9-kilometer canal connected the city directly to the open sea.
9 kilometers long, wow.
Allowing for extensive maritime traffic right into the urban core. Bridges and channels were meticulously constructed to facilitate ship movement straight to the central island.
So ships could sail right into the middle?
Pretty much. For defense, each concentric ring was fortified with its own walls, meticulously built from distinct red, white, and black stone.
The famous colored stones? I remember reading about those.
Exactly. And these walls were further adorned, even plated with copper, tin, and this incredibly mysterious metal we'll definitely get into shortly, Orichalcum.
Orichalcum. Can't wait for that.
The outermost wall, a truly colossal undertaking, encompassed the entire city, which Plato described as having a total diameter of 22 kilometers, including significant urban expansion beyond the concentric zones.
22 kilometers across. That's a major city, even by today's standard.
Oh, definitely. And the island of Atlantis itself, the whole landmass, was depicted as being approximately 540 kilometers by 360 kilometers. Huge.
The scale of it is simply astounding. What truly stands out is how Plato's account, despite being ancient and often categorized as an allegory or a philosophical parable,
Which many people do.
is presented with such incredible, almost architectural detail.
Indeed. Despite its frequent dismissal as pure allegory, this striking level of specificity has provided a compelling framework that continues to captivate researchers and inspire ongoing comparisons with real-world structures.
It's like he left us clues.
It's this meticulous detail, rather than vague myth, that gives the Atlantis story such enduring power and fuels investigation even millennia later, begging the question, why such precision for a mere fable?
Okay, so on one hand, we have Plato, the ancient philosopher, providing this foundational blueprint. But then we fast forward to the 20th century and encounter a completely different, almost jarringly distinct source, Edgar Cayce.
Cayce. The sleeping prophet.
What a curveball, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Edgar Cayce was an American mystic and medium, widely known as the sleeping prophet. He gained extraordinary renown for his reading sessions he conducted while in a self-induced trance state.
He'd go into a trance and just know things.
That was the claim. During these trances, he claimed to access what he termed the Akashic Records, which he described as a universal database or book of life containing all knowledge across time and space.
The Akashic Records. Okay, that's a whole other deep dive, maybe.
Could be, but for Atlantis, this is where it gets truly fascinating. Cayce's visions offered an incredibly detailed historical narrative of Atlantis. What's genuinely shocking, as the outline says, is how often his descriptions, despite originating from a completely different era and methodology,
Like thousands of years later, and through psychic means.
align with Plato's ancient accounts. Cayce himself held an unwavering belief in Atlantis' reality, a conviction that was seemingly bolstered by his documented accuracy in healing and even some of his broader prophecies. People took him seriously because he got other things right.
That's a really interesting point. His track record added weight.
It did. If we consider the broader implications, Cayce's visions depicted Atlantis as a society that evolved and prospered over countless generations, largely untouched by major incidents like wars or widespread natural disasters.
So a long period of peace allowed them to develop.
That was Cayce's view. This extended period of relative peace and stability, according to Cayce, was precisely what allowed it to achieve its remarkably advanced state, fostering unparalleled technological and societal growth.
So consider this remarkable convergence. We have Plato, the classical philosopher, meticulously laying out an almost engineering-grade blueprint for a lost city.
Right, very structured.
Then, centuries later, Edgar Cayce, a modern mystic, claims to tap into a universal consciousness, and his visions astonishingly paint a consistent picture.
Yeah, the parallels are often uncanny.
This unexpected alignment of such disparate sources, ancient philosophy and modern mysticism, makes you pause, doesn't it?
It really does.
It strongly suggests a shared, deeper narrative that transcends individual authorship. Like there's a real story underneath it all. All right, let's truly unpack this. If Atlantis was real, and indeed as advanced as these sources suggest, then what kind of extraordinary technology did they possess? Because according to our research, we're talking about capabilities that even today stretch the very bounds of our scientific imagination.
Oh, absolutely. We're moving way beyond just impressive architecture now. #A Atlantean power and energy systems. What's truly striking is the sheer scale and profound ingenuity of their energy systems. Cayce's visions vividly describe a gigantic crystal activated by the sun.
The Firestone again.
Exactly. This wasn't merely an ornamental object. It was located in a specialized building at the very heart of the city and was explicitly used to harness vast amounts of energy, effectively powering all of Atlantis and its surrounding settlements.
Powering the whole civilization from one crystal.
That's the description. This central crystal was absolutely fundamental to their society, functioning as their primary ubiquitous power grid.
So we're talking about a literal power crystal, powered by sunlight, serving an entire continent. That sounds like something straight out of the most ambitious science fiction, doesn't it?
It really does. But their capabilities apparently didn't stop there. The Atlanteans seemingly possessed a profound mastery of electrical forces and influences.
Beyond just the crystal.
Yeah, a broader understanding. They were described as remarkably proficient in utilizing electricity-powered devices for tasks as fundamental as melting metals and rocks.
Melting rocks, like for construction or something else.
Suggesting industrial capabilities far beyond what we attribute to ancient civilizations. Beyond that, they reportedly harnessed sound waves as a means of communication and even for generating light.
Using sound for light, how would that even work?
Good question. It indicates an understanding of energy manipulation that extends far beyond simple circuitry, hinting at a truly sophisticated grasp of physics and energy conversion. Maybe sonoluminescence on a grand scale. Who knows?
And this leads us to one of the most intriguing and controversial theories that attempts to bridge the gap between myth and existing monumental structures. The Great Pyramids.
Ah, yes, the pyramid power theory.
The idea here isn't that they were just tombs, but rather sophisticated, ancient power plants.
This prompts a fundamental question. What was the true, perhaps hidden, purpose of ancient monumental structures like the pyramids? The theory suggests a direct link to Atlantean electrical technology.
Is there any actual evidence for ancient electricity?
Well, we have compelling archaeological evidence, like the 2,000-year-old Baghdad battery, discovered in 1938, which was demonstrably capable of producing electricity. It's small, but it proves the concept wasn't unknown.
Okay, a small battery is one thing, but powering a civilization.
True. But if ancient peoples possessed the knowledge to connect multiple such cells, some speculation suggests they could have generated truly massive power. For example, a system connecting 2,000 individual units could theoretically generate 6,000 volts.
6,000 volts? That's significant power.
Definitely. The sources even mention the intriguing presence of copper and acids found in tunnels beneath the Great Pyramid itself, fueling theories about their use as energy conduits or as components within a vast integrated power system.
Copper and acid. Sounds like battery components.
It does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
This perspective suggests a far more advanced and practical understanding of electricity in antiquity than our conventional historical narratives generally acknowledge. It implies these structures weren't just architectural feats, but perhaps incredibly complex machines.
So the implication here isn't just about ancient lights, is it? What does it truly suggest about the purpose of these iconic structures like the pyramids? Were they actually highly sophisticated energy devices, perhaps remnants of Atlantean knowledge transferred to later civilizations?
That's the core idea.
It certainly compels you to look at them through an entirely different lens. From stationary power systems, let's shift our focus to motion. The Atlanteans weren't just masters of fixed energy, they were apparently sophisticated travelers, perhaps even cosmic voyagers.
Yeah, their transportation tech, according to the sources, was truly astonishing, beginning with advanced airships and what are known as vimanas.
Airships, like zeppelins.
Sort of, but maybe more advanced. Edgar Cayce, in his Transvisions, spoke of airships made from elephant skins, which were supposedly repurposed as gas containers for buoyancy.
Elephant skins. That sounds unusual.
It does, but these remarkable vehicles were said to be capable of seamless travel through both air and water. Amphibious airships.
Air and water. Wow. And Plato mentioned elephants.
Exactly. It's a fascinating detail, especially when we recall that Plato, millennia earlier, also mentioned the abundance of elephants on Atlantis. The sources even draw a compelling parallel to early 20th century German airship designs that innovatively utilized animal intestines for similar purposes.
Huh. So using animal parts for buoyancy wasn't completely unheard of.
Right, highlighting a shared, if surprising, approach to material science.
And the narrative becomes even more incredible when you examine ancient Hindu Vedic texts. They contain incredibly detailed descriptions of vimanas.
The Vimanas, yes. Legendary flying machine.
These are flying machines that bear a striking, almost uncanny resemblance to modern aircraft. Some of these texts even meticulously describe their propulsion systems, referencing heated mercury as a power source.
Heated mercury propulsion. That's incredibly specific for ancient texts.
It really is. This is a far cry from the rudimentary carts and boats we typically associate with ancient civilizations.
Beyond the textual accounts, there are intriguing archaeological anomalies that many proponents point to as supporting ancient flight. Consider the Saqqara bird, discovered in an Egyptian tomb in 1898.
The little wooden bird thing.
That's the one. It's a wooden model that, upon analysis, eerily resembles a modern airplane, suggesting a forgotten ancient understanding of aerodynamics. There's even another wooden glider model held in the Cairo Museum that further supports this idea.
Okay, models are one thing, but real flight.
Well, it's not limited to Egypt. Ancient Greek records from the 5th century BCE speak of large leather kites capable of lifting children for reconnaissance.
Lifting children? Like surveillance drones?
Possibly, hinting at practical applications of aerial devices.
That's right. And then think about the small golden trinkets recovered from Inca tombs, or more of those Egyptian bird-shaped gliders.
The Inca flyers.
These aren't just decorative items, some argue. They are presented as scaled models of actual working flying craft.
That's the controversial interpretation, that they're blueprints, essentially.
This implies a widespread ancient flying technology and suggests that full-sized, operational flying machines might indeed have existed in Earth's history, fundamentally redefining our understanding of ancient capabilities.
If we connect these intriguing possibilities to the broader historical picture, it raises a profound question. If such advanced flying technology was indeed widespread in antiquity, what does that mean for our established historical timeline and our understanding of human development?
It changes everything.
But the Atlantean capabilities, it seems, didn't stop at Earth's atmosphere. The sources boldly claim Atlanteans possessed the astonishing ability for cosmic travel.
Cosmic travel, like space travel.
Capable of venturing both within and even beyond our own solar system. They reportedly established cosmic colonies on exoplanets, utilizing what are described as flying saucers, or advanced vimanas for interstellar journeys.
Okay, now we're really into sci-fi territory. Establishing colonies on other planets.
It truly pushes the boundaries of our imagination, sounding like a plot from a science fiction epic. It also strongly implies interaction with a higher level of intelligence or a hidden direction, hinting at direct extraterrestrial contact and guidance.
So they weren't alone in developing this.
That's the implication in some sources. And this notion finds surprising parallels in other ancient texts. Vedic texts, for instance, describe cities, a concept of supernatural powers accessible to enlightened human masters and cosmic beings.
Cities. What kind of powers are we talking about?
These are not just magical feats, but rather profound abilities attained through deep understanding and control over reality, encompassing mental communication, levitation, control over weight, changing size, teleportation, invisibility, and even entering other bodies.
Wow, that's a lot. Like superpowers.
Pretty much. This hints at a reality far more expansive and capable than our current scientific framework typically allows. Furthermore, Sumerian cuneiform tablets, as interpreted by researchers like Zecharia Sitchin.
Sitchin, yeah, I know his work. Controversial, but fascinating.
Meticulously detail human interaction with extraterrestrial beings and describe advanced technologies such as rockets and lasers. What's truly astonishing is that these tablets even accurately describe our solar system and remarkably mention a 12th planet called Nibiru.
Nibiru, Planet X.
Whose existence, incredibly, was formally and quietly confirmed by NASA scientists in 1999. though NASA would likely phrase that confirmation differently, focusing on potential large bodies in the outer solar system.
Okay, that's a big claim, the NASA confirmation part. Needs careful handling. But the descriptions in the tablets are undeniably detailed.
Extremely detailed.
Absolutely mind-blowing. And beyond flight and cosmic exploration, they apparently had other remarkably advanced technologies for terrestrial use. Lifts in connected pipes, for example, powered by compressed air and steam.
Like pneumatic tubes, maybe? Or early elevators. Seems plausible compared to space travel.
Relatively speaking, yes.
And we cannot overlook the evidence of super advanced drilling techniques found on artifacts such as the granite sarcophagus within the Great Pyramid and incredibly intricate diorite vases.
Right, the perfectly drilled holes in super hard stone.
Christopher Dunn's meticulous analysis suggests these methods, possibly employing ultrasonic waves, far exceed our modern capabilities for carving such incredibly hard materials with such astonishing precision.
Ultrasonic drilling. In ancient times.
It genuinely compels you to wonder how they achieved such feats without the sophisticated tools and machinery we possess today.
Speaking of incredible materials and advanced capabilities, let's turn our attention to Orichalcum. This metal almost sounds like something plucked directly from a fantasy novel, yet Plato described it with such vivid detail, grounding it in the physical world of Atlantis.
Orichalcum is one of the most enduring mysteries. One of the most intriguing aspects here is Plato's account of it, which he explicitly stated was second in value only to gold.
More valuable than silver, then.
Exactly. But its most captivating property was its ethereal appearance. It supposedly glowed with a distinct red light.
Glowing red, naturally, or powered somehow.
Plato implies it glowed inherently. Imagine that the entire city of Atlantis was described as being visible from a considerable distance due to these flashing red lights emanating from its grand structures.
So it wasn't just a utilitarian building material, it was essentially a living beacon, a powerful symbol of their prosperity and advanced state.
A symbol, and maybe even functional, like warning lights. And they evidently used it extensively in architecture and decoration, particularly for the magnificent temple of Poseidon and Plato.
The main temple must have been spectacular.
Absolutely. The sources detail the three outer walls of the temple being adorned with different precious metals, with the third outermost wall, which encompassed the entire citadel, being specifically plated with orichalcum, imbuing it with that distinctive red shimmer.
So the whole outer wall glowed red. Incredible.
The inner walls, massive pillars, and even the floors of the temple were entirely covered with orichalcum, and its roof incorporated alongside sheets of gold and silver. It was clearly a metal of immense prestige, practical application, and sacred significance.
They really went all out with it.
Even more importantly, a central pillar within the temple itself was crafted from orichalcum, and upon its surface were inscribed Poseidon's sacred laws and the detailed historical records of the first sons and princes of Poseidon.
So it was used for their historical records too, like a giant metal book.
Underscoring its crucial role in preserving their enduring history and monumental decrees. And it wasn't merely reserved for grand structures. It was used in abundance for various everyday artifacts too, including pottery fragments, intricately sculpted stone blocks, tools, and diverse vessels.
So it was truly ubiquitous within Atlantean society. But what was its actual composition? There have been ancient debates, with Plato implying it was a naturally mined metal, a raw resource, correct?
Yes, Plato described it as a metal directly extracted from mines, holding a significant place in his era. However, Pseudo-Aristotle, in his work De Mirabilibus Auscultationibus, presented a different perspective.
Pseudo-Aristotle, so not actually Aristotle.
Likely not, but a tribute to him. He described a type of copper that was very shiny and white, not because it was mixed with tin, but because it was combined with some earth during smelting.
Combined with earth, like an alloy.
Exactly. This description has been speculated to refer to orichalcum, perhaps obtained from copper smelting, with specific elements like cadmium and a particular type of earth, possibly related to zinc oxide. This would suggest a manufactured alloy rather than a naturally occurring pure metal, which does introduce a fascinating contradiction to Plato's implied description.
Mined versus made, a key difference.
Absolutely. Even in the 18th century, Bishop Watson theorized about two types of brass, or orichalcum, and suggested that the Greeks might have lost the knowledge of its true creation or possessed only an imitation.
So people have been trying to figure this out for centuries.
Pretty much. And then in 2015, we had a very real modern discovery that seemed to bring this mythical metal into the realm of tangible reality.
The shipwreck off Sicily, I remember hearing about this.
Indeed. A team of marine archaeologists made a remarkable find, 39 ingots discovered in a 2,600-year-old shipwreck off the coast of Sicily. The initial excitement was palpable, with headlines immediately proclaiming it the mythical red metal.
So they found actual orichalcum.
Well, X-ray fluorescence analysis was swiftly performed on these ingots, and the results were striking. They comprised 75–80% copper, 15–20% zinc, and smaller percentages of nickel, lead, and iron.
Copper and zinc. Isn't that just brass?
This composition is, in essence, very similar to brass.
So was this it? Did this discovery definitively prove Atlantis? Or did it merely highlight a sophisticated ancient metallurgical knowledge that has been lost to us? Because if Plato claimed it was mined, and this is clearly an alloy...
That's a significant point of contention.
Right.
That is precisely the core of the debate. If the discovered metal was indeed an alloy, then it could not have been Plato's mind or Orichalcum in its purest elemental form, as he seemed to imply.
But maybe Plato was wrong or misinterpreted.
Or maybe this wasn't Plato's Orichalcum. However, the discovery strongly suggests that there must have been an original pattern in history that was attempted to be recreated metallurgically and seemingly successfully. It poses the question, was this a sophisticated attempt to recreate a legendary, perhaps naturally occurring metal with similar glowing properties?
Like trying to make synthetic diamonds today, maybe? Trying to copy something legendary?
That's a good analogy. For example, Professor Enrico Matevich, a prominent voice in this discussion, countered that these ingots were simply a form of brass, and that true Orichalcum would have been a different, more complex alloy, perhaps of copper, gold, and silver, potentially originating from ancient Peru.
From Peru, that's a different direction entirely.
So while this find undoubtedly indicates advanced ancient metallurgy and a clear attempt to replicate a legendary metal, it doesn't definitively prove Atlantis as described by Plato in every specific detail. Instead, it deepens the mystery, suggesting a lost technology or knowledge that ancient civilizations actively sought to understand or emulate.
So we've discussed this incredible, highly advanced civilization, its technological marvels, and its mysterious glowing metals. But, as the legend consistently tells us, the story of Atlantis always culminates in a devastating cataclysm. How then did Atlantis ultimately fall? Our sources offer a few compelling and frankly terrifying theories.
Yeah, this is where the story takes its tragic turn. And there's no single universally accepted answer. #A. Diverse theories of Atlantis' downfall. One prominent theory, largely drawn from Edgar Cayce's extensive psychic visions, points to a harrowing combination of natural disasters compounded by Atlantean environmental mismanagement.
Mismanagement, like pollution or resource depletion.
Cayce explicitly stated that despite their extraordinary intelligence and advanced state, the Atlanteans became increasingly self-indulgent and blind to the fact of their continued extraction of materials from the earth. This relentless and excessive mining, he suggested, profoundly destabilized the already volatile Atlantic tectonic plate.
So they literally undermined their own island, a form of self-inflicted wound, in essence.
That was Cayce's interpretation. He believed nature intervened, as if to restore balance, ultimately leading to a cataclysmic fall.
How did nature intervene, according to Cayce?
Exactly. Cayce specifically claimed that intense volcanic activity literally swallowed the island, pulling its entire civilization down to the depths of the Atlantic Ocean. This narrative is a powerful cautionary tale, illustrating how a civilization's unchecked hubris and environmental neglect could directly contribute to its demise, triggering geological forces beyond its control.
A warning for us today, perhaps.
Many draw that parallel, but there's an even more chilling and profound theory that truly makes you pause. The nuclear war hypothesis.
Nuclear war. In ancient times.
This one posits that their scientific advancement dangerously outpaced their moral and ethical development.
Technology outpacing wisdom, another familiar theme.
This raises a profoundly important question for any civilization. What happens when technological capability far exceeds ethical responsibility and wisdom? The theory suggests that the Atlanteans engaged in a great nuclear war, and this conflict had devastating global consequences.
Global consequences like fallout, sea level rise.
The massive detonations, it's theorized, warmed the atmosphere, melted the polar ice caps, and caused a terrible flood that submerged the entire continent around 11,500 years ago. Plato's account of approximately 3 million lives lost in the cataclysm aligns chillingly with this scale of destruction.
3 million people wiped out. And what's truly unsettling is the ancient textual evidence that seems to describe precisely this kind of apocalyptic event.
Right, this isn't just modern speculation. Ancient Vedic texts, such as the Ramayana and notably the Dronaparva, contain explicit descriptions of devastating wars and weapons of unparalleled destructive power.
Can you give an example?
What's truly striking here is the almost uncanny precision of these ancient descriptions. The Dronaparva text, for instance, details a weapon called Agnya, a flaming sheaf of lightless fire that generated dense darkness and unpropitious winds.
Lightless fire, dense darkness. That sounds ominous.
It caused the sun to lose its warmth, made the entire universe seem feverish, and resulted in creatures being burned by the energy of this weapon, with water heating to boiling.
Boiling water, burning creatures.
If this is not a terrifying and strikingly accurate description of the use of a nuclear device in anger, then how do we explain all these so easily discernible connections?
It's hard to dismiss, isn't it?
It eerily echoes Robert Oppenheimer's rumored quote, "After the first modern atomic bomb test." This is not the first time humanity has detonated a nuclear device. Whether he actually said it or not, the sentiment resonates.
It really compels you to consider a forgotten past.
And recall Cayce's prophetic death ray prediction, made as early as 1933. He stated it would be rediscovered within 25 years.
The death ray. What was that supposed to be?
Many widely interpret this as a premonition of the laser, which was indeed invented in 1960. The ability to harness such destructive energy could very well have been the ultimate cause of their downfall.
So internal conflict leading to self-destruction. Beyond the horror of war, there's also the cosmic impact theory.
Right, an external factor this time, suggesting an external force might have played a role.
Like an asteroid or comet.
This theory proposes that around 16,900 to 17,700 years ago, fragments of a large comet fell to Earth, initiating a global chain of catastrophes.
What kind of catastrophes?
We're talking about widespread forest fires, unimaginably massive tsunamis, devastating earthquakes, and corrosive acid rain. Think global winter, mass extinction.
At an extinction-level event.
Such an event on a truly planetary scale could very easily have completely destroyed all advanced human civilizations of that period, including Atlantis, leaving precious little behind for future discovery. Wipe the slate clean.
And finally, a more localized but still catastrophic geological theory. Seismic instability.
Yeah, focusing more on regional geology, the central Mediterranean region, where some theories pinpoint parts of Atlantean influence or colonies.
Like maybe Crete or Santorini.
Places like that. That area is notoriously known for its geological instability. A catastrophic seismic event or massive earthquake around 1250 BCE is historically linked to the widespread Bronze Age collapse.
The Bronze Age collapse, that was a huge upheaval.
Exactly. Such an event could have drastically altered entire topographies, potentially cutting off vast inland seas or causing localized but immense destruction. While perhaps not obliterating an entire continent like Plato described, it illustrates the kind of profound geological forces that could have contributed to, or been mistaken for, a more widespread cataclysm. Maybe the Atlantis story is an echo of that. #B, Revenge of the Gods, and the absence of evidence.
Regardless of the precise cause, whether it was self-inflicted through hubris, nuclear war, a cosmic accident, or massive earthquakes, the end of Atlantis is frequently spoken of in almost mythological terms, often depicted as a revenge of the gods.
That framing is very common in ancient destruction myths. What's consistently striking here is how many ancient narratives frame such devastating societal collapses as divine retribution. The sources explicitly use phrases like revenge of the gods, implying a cosmic judgment for their actions.
So they angered the gods with their hubris or technology.
That's the traditional interpretation. Some even speculate that this huge cataclysm that swallowed Atlantis is part of a larger cosmic military spectacle in which Mars also participated, suggesting a grander, possibly even extraterrestrial conflict or divine intervention at play.
Mars, like a planetary war.
Oh,
That's
widely out there. It stretches credulity for many, but it's part of the spectrum of theories you encounter with Atlantis.
And this naturally leads us to a crucial question for archaeologists. If Atlantis was truly so grand, so technologically advanced, why haven't we found more definitive, tangible evidence of its existence? Where's the proof?
The million-dollar question. This raises an important point. If we consider the sheer scale of the obliteration described in some of these legends, that might be the answer itself.
You mean the destruction was so complete?
Some accounts suggest entire cities were torn from the earth, inverted, and slammed into the resulting chasm, leaving absolutely nothing recognizable behind. Total annihilation.
Literally wiped off the map.
If such unimaginable forces were at play, it would indeed be rather doubtful that anything would be found after the catastrophe that utterly consumed Atlantis. This extreme destruction could also explain why. In proposed locations like the Reshat structure, archaeologists primarily find only very ancient stone tools from early hominids and relatively fresh Neolithic tools.
Right, and nothing in between.
With the conspicuous absence of anything from an intermediate, highly advanced period, the theory suggests that all evidence of the Atlantean civilization was simply washed out to sea or buried beyond recognition.
Convenient, some might say, but plausible given the scale of the alleged cataclysm.
It's a possibility. And then there's the truly provocative idea of modern-day suppression of crucial evidence.
Ah, the cover-up theory.
The sources repeatedly bring up the rapid disappearance from public discourse of underwater structures found off the coast of Cuba in 2001.
The searches we mentioned earlier, what happened there?
These structures, described initially as ordered stone constructions and foundations of ancient urban planning, were discovered at depths of 650 meters. Their discovery immediately sparked sensational headlines like Atlantis discovered, and even captured the initial interest of National Geographic.
National Geographic was involved. Then what?
However, further research into these tantalizing finds was inexplicably and abruptly halted, and the topic quickly faded from public discussion, just vanished.
Why? What's the theory behind the halt?
This sudden cessation leads to intense speculation that someone has investigated these mysterious sunken structures, and that descendants of Atlanteans sitting in the highest government positions may be intentionally not allowing their secrets, hidden for millennia, to be revealed.
Powerful descendants, still around today, suppressing evidence. That's a conspiracy theory of epic proportions.
It is, but it's fueled by the unexplained halt in research and the geological context. Geologists estimated it would take 50,000 years for such structure to sink that deep naturally.
50,000 years! That predates everything we know.
Exactly. It's a powerful and unsettling thought, suggesting that not only was the original destruction extreme, but any surviving remnants might be actively concealed to this very day. #tag55e. Atlantean survivors and their enduring legacy.
So if Atlantis fell in such an unimaginably cataclysmic way, did anyone manage to survive? The answer, according to our wide array of sources, is a resounding yes, but it was a very small, resilient group.
A remnant.
And their story of dispersal and enduring influence is just as incredible as the one of Atlantis itself.
What's truly compelling here is the sheer resilience demonstrated. A very small group of Atlanteans reportedly managed to escape the catastrophe, clinging to life and knowledge. This survival laid the groundwork for their supposed continued existence and profound influence across the globe.
So they didn't just vanish into history. They dispersed, spreading their knowledge and perhaps their very genes. The main refugee destinations they sought out are truly fascinating.
Indeed. A significant portion of these Atlantean refugees reportedly arrived in Egypt.
Egypt makes sense given the pyramid connections we discussed.
Bringing with them everything they could salvage of their advanced knowledge and artifacts. This influx of sophisticated wisdom and technology is theorized to have initiated or profoundly influenced the nascent ancient Egyptian civilization, perhaps jump-starting its rapid ascent.
So Egypt didn't just emerge fully formed, maybe it had help.
That's the theory. Others are said to have fled across the Atlantic to South America, with descendants potentially still residing in vast underground cities hidden deep within Brazil.
Underground cities in Brazil. Like Acacor.
Echoes of those legends, yes. And still others found shelter in Central America, particularly on the Yucatan Peninsula, suggesting a multi-directional escape. They went east and west.
Egypt, South America, Central America, a truly global diaspora. But the most mind-bending possibility for the highest class of Atlanteans, or those with the most advanced technology, is that they didn't even stay on Earth.
Right, this takes it to another level entirely.
Where did they supposedly go?
This raises a truly profound question. How far could their advanced capabilities truly reach? The sources suggest that the most technologically sophisticated Atlanteans actually transported themselves to another planet, to another planetary system, using their highly advanced spaceships.
Using the Vimanas, or saucer-like craft.
Presumably. They reportedly founded many cosmic colonies, implying they possessed a capability for cosmic travel, not just within our solar system, but far beyond it. It presents a truly extraterrestrial escape, a cosmic diaspora.
Wow. So some escaped underground, some across the sea, and some to the stars. Beyond escaping to other continents or even other planets, there's a truly captivating and persistent theory that many Atlanteans sought refuge right here on Earth, but deep beneath its surface.
A hollow earth connection.
We're talking about vast underground sanctuaries intricately tied into the enigmatic hollow earth theory.
What's truly fascinating here is the concept that immense underground complexes, such as the mysterious Agartha and its legendary capital, Shambhala,
Agartha and Shambhala, names you hear a lot in esoteric circles,
were purportedly constructed by Atlanteans even before, or certainly during, the destructive events. These subterranean strongholds were designed to house survivors and refugees from the surface world, providing protection from devastating cataclysms, including radioactive fallout from a nuclear war and apocalyptic floods.
So they built fallout shelters, essentially, but on a massive scale.
That's one way to look at it. And there's even an incredibly detailed migration route described in various ancient texts, charting their journey to these hidden realms.
How did they supposedly get there?
Yes, these old texts describe Atlanteans abandoning their homes on the quadrangular sacred mountain, often considered the central point of Atlantis. Their journey supposedly led them through the ethereal Rainbow Bridge, Aurora Borealis,
Through the Northern Lights.
to their new sanctuary, the Valley of Golden Squares of Shambhala, accessed via a polar opening.
A polar opening, like an entrance at the North or South Pole.
That's the classic Hollow Earth concept. This extraordinary migration of Atlantean gods or rulers to the underground world before the final destruction of Atlantis is even referred to as Götterdämmerung, or Twilight of the Gods, in some German mythologies, emphasizing its epic significance.
Götterdämmerung, linking it to Norse myth, too. And their advanced flying machines, those vimanas or flying saucers, weren't just for surface travel, were they? They adapted to their new environment.
Exactly. These versatile vehicles were said to fly not only in Earth's outer atmosphere during Atlantean times, but continued to operate efficiently within the Hollow Earth's inner atmosphere after the cataclysm.
So they had an internal atmosphere to fly in.
According to the theory, yes. This suggests a seamless transition of their technology into their new subterranean environment, highlighting their ingenuity. It's also interesting to note the striking parallels with Jules Verne's classic novel, Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Ah, Verne. He tapped into these ideas too.
Which presents a remarkably similar concept. Atlanteans escaping into the Earth's hollow core, establishing thriving cities with their own sun, oceans, and landmasses.
And this isn't just an isolated underground city, it's part of a proposed global tunnel system linking these hidden worlds.
A subterranean network. What's truly intriguing here are the writings of Russian explorer Ferdinand Ossendowski.
Ossendowski, yeah. Beasts, men, and gods.
That's the one. He compellingly suggested that vast tunnels encircling the Earth and passing beneath both the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans were constructed by a pre-glacial Hyperborean civilization.
Hyperboreans, another lost civilization.
Often linked. This Hyperborean civilization reportedly possessed sophisticated scientific powers and advanced drilling machines. These honeycomb tunnels, he theorized, lead directly to the underground world of Agartha.
Built with advanced drilling tech, maybe like the kind used on those pyramid stones.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? There's even a widespread belief in Mongolia in the existence of an underground world called Agartha, ruled by the king of the world, who resides in Shambhala, and is connected to the surface by these very tunnels.
So Ossendowski heard about it from Mongolian sources too. And what about the inhabitants and the environment within this hollow earth? What kind of world did they create?
The sources claim the interior is inhabited by a disease-free, exceptionally long-lived race, often referred to as fruitarians. And crucially, it is believed that the inhabitants of the underwater prehistoric continents such as Lemuria and Atlantis found refuge there and still live underground.
Lemurians too, so multiple lost civilizations down there.
That's the claim. This inner world is reportedly warmed by a central sun,
An internal sun.
which is even said to be the mystical source of the Aurora Borealis, creating a perpetually subtropical climate. Interestingly, some Arctic explorers have reported finding increasing temperatures and even tropical wildlife as they traveled further north.
Warmer temperatures and tropical animals near the pole. That seems unlikely.
Highly debated reports, of course, but they're part of the lore, hinting at the presence of these polar openings and a warmer inner world. This inner civilization is described as far surpassing our own in its scientific achievements.
And a truly provocative idea is that these Atlanteans or their descendants have even intervened in modern history, subtly guiding humanity.
From below, or perhaps returning from elsewhere. Yes, there are compelling claims that Atlanteans surfaced after the devastating Hiroshima atomic bomb in 1945.
Why then?
their purported purpose: to prevent further nuclear tragedies, indicating a continued awareness and perhaps protective stance over humanity's volatile technological development. It suggests a hidden, watchful influence.
It's clear that if Atlanteans possessed such incredible knowledge and faced such a devastating end, they would have made every effort to preserve it. This brings us back to Edgar Cayce and his fascinating prophecies of the Hall of Records.
Right, the idea that they didn't let all their knowledge vanish. What's truly significant here is the profound designated purpose of these halls: to meticulously safeguard knowledge and history from the very beginning of the world, including all Atlantean records and their full historical narrative.
Like a time capsule of everything.
Exactly. Cayce has specifically prophesied 3 such vital locations worldwide, strategically chosen for their enduring protection.
The first, and arguably most intriguing, is located directly under the paw of the Great Sphinx in Giza, Egypt, which Cayce specifically designated as the main hall.
Under the Sphinx. This immediately prompts the question: what untold secrets are truly hidden beneath such an iconic and ancient structure?
Has anyone actually looked?
Cayce's claim about a hollow space under the Sphinx's paw gained significant traction when seismological research, conducted in 1997 by Joe and Chude, along with Dr. Joseph Sora, reportedly revealed exactly that: a hollow space exhibiting 90-degree angles and rectangular proportions, strongly suggesting it was man-made and not a natural formation.
Rectangular man-made space under the Sphinx, that's huge.
It was a big deal at the time. Furthermore, in the early 21st century, 2 French archaeologists claimed to have discovered hidden chambers and exits within the Great Pyramid of Cheops itself, theorizing that these might lead to an intricate network of tunnels and ultimately to the long-lost Hall of Records.
Tunnels from the pyramid to the Sphinx.
That was their theory. So we have these incredibly tantalizing hints, backed by some scientific findings, but then nothing further. The research simply stops.
Just like with the Cuban structures. Why?
Precisely. Despite these intriguing discoveries and compelling reports, official permission for extensive excavations and research under the Sphinx's paw, or within the alleged pyramid tunnels, has been repeatedly denied.
Denied by whom? The Egyptian authorities.
Presumably. This continuous denial fuels intense speculation about what might be hidden there and why it is being kept from public view. Moreover, the Sphinx itself is theorized to be far older than mainstream historical accounts suggest.
We touched on this earlier with the water erosion.
Exactly. Geologist Robert Schoch's meticulous examination of distinct water corrosion patterns on the Sphinx's limestone revealed that it had been eroded by substantial rainfall over hundreds of thousands of years. Since this part of Egypt hasn't experienced such long-term, abundant rainfall for over 10,000 years, Schoch concluded that the Sphinx is likely at least 12,500 years old, if not even older.
12,500 years old. Puts it right at the end of the last ice age, around the time Atlantis supposedly fell.
This immense age aligns remarkably with the purported time of Atlantis' catastrophic fall. This leads to the profound question: did Atlanteans themselves build it, or at least heavily influence its construction?
Or rebuilt an even older structure?
Possible. It is even believed that one record located within the Sphinx explicitly explains the art of building pyramids, linking it directly to lost architectural knowledge.
A how-to guide for pyramids inside the Sphinx?
The legends claim so. The Hall of Records in Giza was specifically built by what is referred to as the Hidden Direction, and it is said to contain tangible artifacts of the ancient Atlantean civilization. There are even tantalizing hints that some of these records may have already been found by a private group in Florida, reportedly seeking funding to protect their discoveries before revealing shocking knowledge that they claim is supported by both physical evidence and extensive written works currently undergoing transliteration.
Found by a private group. And they're keeping it secret. This gets more mysterious by the minute. That is absolutely astonishing, if true. And what about the other 2 prophesied locations for these halls of records?
The second location is specified as being underwater in the Bimini region, off the coast of Florida.
Bimini Road, another famous anomaly.
Known for its anomalous underwater stone formations. And the third is situated on the Yucatan Peninsula, likely near the ancient Mayan city of Piedras Negras.
Yucatan, connecting to the Maya. Okay.
While less detailed archaeological findings are publicly available for these 2 sites, their inclusion powerfully underscores the global reach of Atlantean survivors and their meticulous, widespread efforts to preserve their history and advance knowledge across the planet, ensuring it wouldn't be entirely lost to time.
So if these Atlantean survivors did indeed spread across the globe, what kind of lasting, profound impact did they have on the civilizations that followed? Our sources strongly suggest they didn't just merely survive, they fundamentally influenced and perhaps even jump-started later civilizations in remarkable ways.
Yeah, their legacy wasn't just buried in halls of records. It supposedly lived on through culture. What's truly compelling here is the pervasive idea that Atlantean survivors, a small but knowledgeable cadre, subtly disseminated their advanced knowledge through enduring myths, powerful symbolism, and even the establishment of secret societies.
Passing down knowledge in secret.
This suggests a profound, albeit often hidden, transfer of ancient wisdom that shaped the trajectory of human development.
Let's delve into Oannes, for instance, a fascinating figure from Sumerian mythology.
Oannes is an exceptionally compelling figure. This Sumerian Babylonian sea king is described as a fish-like being who enigmatically emerged from the sea to civilize primitive human populations.
A fishman teacher.
That's the description. He is credited with teaching them fundamental aspects of civilization: literature, science, art, law, and advanced agriculture, essentially providing a massive leap forward for their society. He gave them the keys to civilization.
And the interpretation is?
He is frequently interpreted as an Atlantean survivor, perhaps wearing an advanced aquatic suit or diving apparatus. A spacesuit, maybe? Or just scuba gear?
A god in a diving suit. That makes a strange kind of sense.
This enigmatic figure's image and symbolic role may have even influenced later religious symbols, such as the fish symbol in early Christianity, and remarkably, even the fish-shaped mitre worn by Catholic priests.
The Pope's hat looks like a fish head. Whoa, I never made that connection.
Suggesting a deeper ancient lineage of wisdom.
And moving from the ancient Middle East, let's turn our attention to North Africa, to the nomadic Tuareg people and their legendary ancestress, Tinhinan.
Tinhinan is another fascinating potential link. She stands as a pivotal and deeply resonant figure in the legends and theories surrounding the downfall of Atlantis. She is explicitly described as a princess who miraculously escaped death during the catastrophic sinking of Atlantis.
A princess from Atlantis.
The oral traditions of the Tuareg, particularly those residing in the remote Ahagar Desert, unequivocally revere her as their founder, princess, and heroine. She is remembered as the last of the Atlanteans, and her own accounts speak of a great flood that utterly annihilated her family and culture, directly linking her to the Atlantean downfall.
And she sounds like a truly extraordinary and powerful individual, almost superhuman.
She was. Local legends consistently associate her with people of huge stature, blonde hair, and slanted eyes, who were said to originate from the Orion constellation.
Orion again, like the pyramids. And huge stature.
Intriguingly, her discovered remains indicated she was a woman of 2 meters tall, aligning with the huge stature mentioned in the legends. Taller than average for the time, certainly.
2 meters. That's very tall for a woman, especially then.
What's more, the massive stones used in her tomb raised questions among modern archaeologists about how they were placed, with the theory suggesting that if people of her lineage, possibly 3 to 5 meters tall, built it, they wouldn't have needed complex machinery, relying solely on their immense strength.
3 to 5 meters tall. Giants.
That's pushing into legendary territory. But the tombstones are large. According to mythology, Tinhinan possessed superhuman abilities and was believed to be able to establish contact with the gods at will, elevating her status beyond a mere mortal.
And her journey after escaping Atlantis sounds nothing short of epic, establishing a new legacy in a harsh land.
She embarked on an incredibly significant and arduous journey, arriving in the lands where she ultimately founded her kingdom on a white camel with her entourage, traversing over 1,000 kilometers through the unforgiving desert. She became a legendary queen who resided in Ahagar in the 4th century.
Quite a leader.
Her captivating story powerfully supports the idea that highly advanced civilizations existed before our conventionally accepted historical timelines, and that some of their knowledge and descendants could have survived major cataclysms to reseed culture elsewhere. In 1925, French archaeologists discovered what is widely believed to be her burial place, kept secret and inviolate for 16 centuries near the oasis of Waleska.
They found her tomb. What was inside?
Her monumental tomb is the central point of a necropolis, consisting of 11 distinct rooms, and she was interred with honors in a large burial chamber containing over 600 valuable and unusual artifacts. Her remains are reportedly exhibited in a museum in Ahagar, Tamanrasset, and a vibrant festival named Inchinan is held annually in her honor. She's consistently described as an irresistibly beautiful woman, tall and fair with large eyes.
This also strongly points back to the Egyptian civilization beyond just the Sphinx. There's more evidence of advanced knowledge.
Definitely. What's profoundly compelling here is the precise alignment of the three main Giza pyramids with Orion's belt. This isn't just a vague resemblance. It includes their relative sizes and positions mirroring the stars, and even the Nile River mirroring the Milky Way's orientation.
The as above, so below idea.
Precisely. This alignment is suggested to be an encoded time capsule, meticulously designed to show the exact planning or construction date, roughly 12,500 years ago, aligning perfectly with the estimated time of Atlantis' fall.
Setting your cosmic clock.
Furthermore, Christopher Dunn's meticulous analysis of the granite sarcophagus in the Great Pyramid and incredibly intricate diorite vases reveals super advanced drilling and carving techniques that far exceed our current capabilities, possibly involving sophisticated ultrasonic waves. This powerfully suggests direct Atlantean influence or even direct involvement in the genesis of early Egyptian civilization, jump-starting their knowledge.
And it's not just Egypt. Mesoamerican cultures, too, seem to echo similar tales of advanced beings arriving from the sea.
They absolutely do. Legends of highly civilized white people like Quetzalcoatl among the Aztecs and Mayans, and Viracocha among the Incas.
The feathered serpent, the creator god.
Arriving from the sea, bringing advanced knowledge, and being revered as gods are common across numerous Mesoamerican cultures. These figures are often interpreted as Atlantean refugees, bringing their expertise to new lands. Even the ancient Slavs are described as heirs to ancient knowledge from the time of communion with the first gods on Earth, suggesting a widespread inherited wisdom.
So, echoes all over the world. And finally, the intriguing concept of a hidden directorate and even collective reincarnation plays a role in this enduring legacy, suggesting an ongoing influence.
This takes it into really esoteric territory. This raises an even grander question. What if there's a subtle guiding hand behind humanity's development? And advanced intelligence, sometimes referred to as the hidden directorate, reportedly had deep contact with Atlantean civilization and actively attempts to guide us back to these universal truths.
A hidden hand guiding history.
The Atlanteans, with their comprehensive understanding of reincarnation on both individual and collective levels, are said to have developed a comprehensive, long-forgotten plan to create a great society on Earth that would allow the entire Atlantean civilization to reincarnate as a group, thereby initiating a true golden age of peace and prosperity.
Reincarnating as a whole civilization. Wow.
This suggests a continuing, perhaps subtle and unseen influence on the entire trajectory of human history, nudging us towards a forgotten destiny.
We've thoroughly explored the profound legend, the incredible technologies attributed to Atlantis, its catastrophic fall, and the surprising resilience and global dispersal of its survivors. But now, we turn our attention to our physical map. Where on our actual planet could Atlantis have been located? This is where the debates truly intensify, offering some compelling yet contested possibilities.
Yeah, where do we actually look? Because Plato gave coordinates, sort of, beyond the Pillars of Hercules. One of the most visually striking and widely discussed hypotheses for Atlantis' location is the Richat structure, affectionately dubbed the Eye of the Sahara.
That circular thing in the desert, it looks amazing from space.
It really does. It's a colossal, concentric geological formation, nearly 50 kilometers in diameter, situated deep within the Mauritanian Desert in West Africa. From orbital views, its appearance is undeniably alien and captivating. While initially theorized to be an impact crater, it is now understood by geologists as an eroded geological dome shaped over millennia.
But the visual similarities to Plato's descriptions of Atlantis are quite uncanny, aren't they? Especially that distinct circular shape, so perfectly concentric.
That's what grabs everyone. What's truly intriguing here is how remarkably the Richat structure's concentric rings of land and what would have been water in its past bear a strong resemblance to Plato's meticulous description of Atlantis.
Rings of land and water, just like Plato said.
Plato also vividly wrote of vast, fertile plains stretching for hundreds of kilometers beyond Atlantis' city walls. The area surrounding the Richat structure was significantly green and fertile during the African wet phase, a period roughly spanning from 11,500 to 500 years ago.
So the Sahara wasn't always desert there?
Not at all. It was characterized by agricultural fields, lush forests, flowing rivers, and abundant wildlife back then. Even the proportional increase in the width of its distinct zones is noted in both descriptions. Furthermore, its proximity to the Tropic of Cancer suggests it would have enjoyed a temperate climate even during the last ice age, providing ample resources for a large, thriving civilization.
Okay, the shape fits, the plains fit, the climate fits. What's the catch? But then we have to address the significant discrepancies, because they are considerable. The sheer size of the Richat structure alone is a huge point of contention.
It's way too big, right? This prompts a critical question. To what extent can a legendary account be exaggerated or distorted over millennia of oral transmission? Maybe Plato got the scale wrong or was magnified over time.
How big did Plato say Atlantis was?
Plato explicitly stated that the total diameter of Atlantis' concentric zones was 4.8 kilometers, with the total city diameter, including urban expansion, reaching 22 kilometers. The Richat structure, at almost 50 kilometers in diameter, is nearly 10 times larger than Plato's concentric city and more than twice the size of his entire city area.
10 times bigger. That's a huge difference, not just a small exaggeration.
And the widths of the rings also differ vastly. Richat's inner ring is only 30 meters wide, starkly contrasting with Atlantis' 360 meters for its inner landwater zones.
And its current location is another major hurdle, isn't it? Plato described Atlantis as being beyond the Pillars of Hercules, directly on the ocean.
Exactly. The Richat structure is situated almost 500 kilometers inland from the Atlantic coast and rests at an elevation of 400 meters above sea level. During the last ice age, global sea levels were even lower by another 120 meters, making it geologically impossible for seawater to have reached this location.
So, no coastline, way too high up.
While Plato did describe a 9-kilometer canal connecting Atlantis to the sea, and one could speculate about an ancient, now-filled channel, the vast distance and significant elevation differences present extreme challenges for this hypothesis.
A 500-kilometer canal seems unlikely. And what about actual ruins?
That's the other big problem. Current archaeological excavations within the Richat structure have found no red, white, or black stone walls, no traces of copper, tin, or Orichalcum, and no pottery fragments or tools indicative of an advanced civilization.
Just the old stone tools we mentioned.
Instead, only Acheulean stone tools from Homo erectus and relatively fresh Neolithic tools from Homo sapiens have been discovered. The proponents argue, however, that the complete absence of artifacts from an intermediate, highly advanced period could potentially be explained if a catastrophic event completely wiped away all evidence, washing it irrevocably out to sea or burying it beyond detection.
The total destruction argument again. Let's shift our geographical focus now, moving to North Africa, specifically Tunisia, and explore the theory that Atlantis might be found around Shatt el-Jared, a vast salt lake that once held a different form.
Yeah, shifting from the Atlantic coast inland to the Mediterranean sphere. What's fascinating here is the deep historical context that supports this theory. Tunisia was indeed home to highly advanced civilizations that were well known to both the ancient Greeks and Egyptians.
Like Carthage, for example.
Exactly. Plato himself explicitly mentioned Lake Tritonis in his works, and ancient Greek writers specifically placed this large freshwater lake in southern Tunisia, describing it as having islands and being tragically destroyed by a natural disaster, causing its eventual disappearance.
Lake Tritonis, destroyed by disaster? Sounds familiar.
It does, doesn't it? And Shatt el-Jared itself, despite being a salt lake today, has some truly intriguing similarities to Plato's descriptions.
Like what?
Its very name, Lagoon of the Palm Land, could very well refer to an ancient oasis or a more fertile past. In the 1920s, researcher Paul Borchardt made compelling connections between Shatt el-Jared and Lake Tritonis. He reportedly discovered ruins of an ancient city near Gabes, alongside what appeared to be a large, sophisticated irrigation canal and massive concentric elements that echoed Plato's descriptions.
Concentric elements near a lake that vanished.
There are even intriguing linguistic links between local Berber tribal names and legendary Atlantean kings, suggesting a cultural memory. Geologically, evidence suggests this region was once a vast inland sea, potentially connected to the Mediterranean. This connection could have been severed by significant seismic events, such as the catastrophic earthquake around 1250 BCE linked to the Bronze Age collapse, which would have drastically altered the topography and created the current salt lakes.
So maybe a Mediterranean Atlantis destroyed by an earthquake. Plausible timeline, too. ##### sea Cuban underwater structures. And from dry land, let's plunge deep into the mysterious depths of the ocean off the coast of Cuba, where some truly enigmatic structures were discovered that briefly ignited the world's imagination.
Back to the Atlantic region. In 2001, deep-sea researchers utilizing sonar technology off Cuba's west coast made an astonishing discovery. Ordered stone structures resting at depths of 600–650 meters.
That's really deep. What did they look like?
They described them as appearing to be symmetrically arranged buildings and the foundations of ancient urban planning, like underwater city blocks. This remarkable find immediately led to sensational headlines proclaiming Atlantis discovered, and it even garnered significant initial interest from prestigious organizations like National Geographic.
But then the research inexplicably halted. This is where the theory of suppression and perhaps deeper secrets begins to emerge, isn't it?
Precisely. The initial excitement quickly faded, and further research was mysteriously and inexplicably forgotten, leading to widespread speculation that powerful descendants of Atlanteans might be actively suppressing this information, intent on not allowing their secrets hidden for millennia to be revealed.
That same suppression theory again.
What makes this even more perplexing is the geological timeline associated with the depth of the structures. Geologists estimated it would have taken approximately 50,000 years for such structures to sink to that profound depth.
50,000 years.
Which would predate any conventionally known civilization with such architectural capabilities. This immense age, combined with a sudden and unexplained halt in investigation, makes the Cuban underwater structures a profoundly compelling and unsettling mystery.
We've hinted at it throughout this deep dive, but let's now fully connect the dots. The Giza Plateau, the Great Sphinx, and the pyramids. Could these iconic structures truly be Atlantean remnants, or at the very least profoundly influenced by Atlantean survivors?
It's a powerful candidate for influence, if not direct origin. This raises a profoundly important question, and for many researchers, it presents what they consider smoking gun evidence. Geologist Robert Schoch's meticulous examination of the Sphinx revealed unmistakable signs of significant water corrosion on its limestone surface.
The rain erosion indicating a much older age.
This indicates it once stood in a climate characterized by abundant rainfall, starkly different from the arid desert we see today. Since this particular region of Egypt has not experienced such long-term heavy rainfall for over 10,000 years, Schoch concluded that the Sphinx is likely at least 12,500 years old, if not even older.
Again, that 12,500 year mark, it keeps coming up.
This immense age aligns remarkably with the purported time of Atlantis' catastrophic fall, profoundly challenging mainstream historical dating.
And then there's the incredibly precise Orion alignment theory, which intricately connects the pyramids to the stars above.
What's truly astonishing here is the precise alignment of the three main Giza pyramids with Orion's belt. This isn't just a vague resemblance, it includes their relative sizes and positions mirroring the stars, and even the Nile River mirroring the Milky Way's orientation, like a map on the ground.
Reflecting the sky from 12,500 years ago.
That's the theory. This remarkable alignment is suggested to be an encoded time capsule, meticulously designed to show the exact time of their planning or construction, roughly 12,500 years ago. It implies an astronomical knowledge and engineering precision far beyond what is conventionally attributed to early Egyptian civilization, and a deliberate intention to mark a specific, very ancient historical period.
And the construction techniques observed on some of these structures are just baffling, almost impossible to replicate, even with our modern technology.
Christopher Dunn's detailed analysis of the granite sarcophagus found within the Great Pyramid and other incredibly intricate diorite bases reveals what he describes as super advanced drilling and carving techniques that far exceed our current capabilities. He posits that these might have involved sophisticated, lost technologies, perhaps even ultrasonic waves, capable of cutting and shaping incredibly hard stone with impossible precision.
The machines that built Egypt, or maybe the machines that built Atlantis, brought to Egypt.
The cumulative implication of all these findings, the Sphinx's undeniable age, the precision of the Orion alignment, and the evidence of these advanced manufacturing techniques, is profound. It strongly suggests that Atlanteans might have directly built the Sphinx and pyramids, or at the very least, profoundly influenced early Egyptian civilization, providing a powerful jumpstart to their knowledge and capabilities.
Wow, what an incredible journey this deep dive has been. We've traversed from Plato's ancient philosophical descriptions to Edgar Cayce's startling psychic visions, explored the truly mind-bending technological marvels like crystal power grids and cosmic airships, delved into terrifying theories about Atlantis' catastrophic end, and traced the surprising resilience and global dispersal of its survivors across the globe and even perhaps beyond.
It's a massive story with so many threads.
We've examined potential physical locations, from the enigmatic Eye of the Sahara to the mysterious depths off Cuba, and seen how iconic ancient structures like the Sphinx might just hold the key to this ancient mystery, fundamentally reshaping our understanding of human history. The sheer volume of what we've presented today, the compelling, tangible evidence, the persistent legends across countless cultures, the remarkable coincidences and consistent themes across such disparate sources.
The patterns are hard to ignore.
Are they simply too numerous, dear listener? Too consistent? To the point where they are no longer mere coincidences, but rather hard, undeniable facts? It truly compels you to reconsider everything you thought you knew about ancient history and the origins of civilization.
What's consistently striking here is that while definitive, mainstream proof of Atlantis as a singular, easily identifiable location remains elusive, the compelling and consistent themes woven across such diverse sources, from classical philosophy to modern mysticism and even unexplained archaeological anomalies, paint a powerful and often unsettling picture.
It's a picture you can't easily dismiss.
It actively encourages us to think critically and not simply dismiss these profound narratives out of hand as mere fantasy. So here's a final provocative thought for you to truly mull over as you go about your day. What if the legend of Atlantis is not just a myth, but a fragmented, deeply buried memory of a truly extraordinary past?
A memory of a lost golden age.
What if its reality fundamentally reshapes our entire understanding of human history and our own potential as a civilization? And perhaps even more importantly for our own time, what are the implications for our own future? If a society so incredibly advanced, one that achieves such heights of technology and knowledge, could ultimately fall due to internal moral decay, unchecked hubris, or an overwhelming external cataclysm?
Could we repeat their mistakes?
The lessons of Atlantis, whether real or symbolic, continue to echo powerfully through time, waiting for us to truly hear them.
That is a truly powerful thought to leave you with, and it has certainly given us a tremendous amount to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the enigmatic world of Atlantis.
Thank you for listening.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, please take a moment right now to hit that like button. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's hit that 100 subscriber goal today.
Yes. Hit subscribe.
And critically, please leave us a comment with your thoughts, your own theories, or suggestions for where we should explore further in the future. We genuinely love hearing from you and engaging in those vital conversations that continue the deep dive beyond this recording. And of course, please share this deep dive with anyone else who loves a good mystery, who loves to learn, and who isn't afraid to question what they thought they knew about the past.
Spread the word.
We can't wait to see your comments and your thoughts on this one.
And remember, the journey of discovery is an ongoing one. Continue to question, continue to explore, and always consider the narratives that challenge our preconceived notions of history and human potential. We look forward to delving into new mysteries with you. Farewell for now.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and be sure to check out other materials on the channel for more captivating deep dives. Goodbye for now.